What's going on, everybody? Listen, I wanted to make a quick video. I know it's getting close to like college acceptance time. And the topic of this conversation is going to be, so you want to go to college? Listen, comment down below. Have you already been accepted to some colleges? Have you already like committed to go to these colleges in the fall or maybe the spring? Even if you've already graduated or you're currently enrolled, drop your college down below. And let's just create some discussion down in the comments. So throughout this video, I'm going to discuss number one, selecting a college, figuring out which situation is best for you, and what you currently have going or what you may be looking to do. We're also going to talk about narrowing down those majors, seeing exactly what field you want to go into, then building experience. So beginning with the end in mind. So, some people think once they graduate high school or they graduate college, like that's the end, like that's the finish line. Like, no, that's the beginning of the race. That's when the race starts. So you want to always begin with the end in mind. We're also going to talk about establishing balance throughout your time in college. And then lastly, planning for graduation. All right, so just a little bit about me. So I'm originally from Detroit. I graduated from Cass Tech High School. And from there, I went to Mississippi Valley State University. Huge culture shock, big difference. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. And then I worked a little bit from there. I'm currently back in Detroit, and I attend the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. A little bit of my campus involvement. I was Mr. Mississippi Valley State University. I was in the marching band. I did Kappa Kappa Psi Band fraternity. I was also an HBCU All-Star, Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, as well as a Prince Hall affiliated Mason. So, during my time, I really got involved. I really soaked in as many opportunities to like network with people, and really build my professional community. I think that's really important. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that too. So the big thing, where do I go? With so many different colleges out there, so many different options. If you've been applying, maybe you did like a comment app or something like that, you're probably getting so much mail, like you're getting so much stuff from all of these different colleges. And it's just like, I don't know where to go. So here's a couple of things that I want you to consider in selecting a college or a university. So the first thing is just differentiating between a 2-year and a 4-year institution, right? So usually a 2-year or a community college is going to be like closer to your home. This is going to be good for maybe if you just want to commute, maybe you're not looking to stay on campus. It's usually going to be a little bit more affordable on a 2-year level. And then you have your 4-year institutions. And you do usually have some that might be like near a community, like here in Detroit, Wayne State is a 4-year institution, but it's kind of like integrated into the city. So usually a 4-year institution is going to be larger. It usually will cost a bit more. They're probably going to have a lot more program offerings too. And then they'll probably have like more resources for students. And that could be financially or just as far as like student supports. You really have to do your homework when analyzing what's best between a community college or a 4-year institution. Um, so again, the first thing that I would say is just make sure that it accommodates your schedule. So maybe you're a non-traditional student, maybe you are a parent, maybe you're already working full time, maybe you just have things going in your life, maybe you have a business, something like that, where you might need a little bit more flexibility. Those are things that you should look into, and just seeing which college is going to be best for you. The next one is, do you have a location preference? For me, I was in marching band. I knew I wanted to go to a HBCU. You know what I'm saying? I knew I wanted to march in a black band. So for me, it was only the South. Granted, I applied to some schools in the area just to make sure my bases were covered. But at the end of the day, I knew I was going down South. So again, going to college is a great opportunity to explore a new area or remain at a local or in-state institution. So great opportunities in both, but you really have to see what's going to be best for you. Next is making sure they offer your major. And this is something that I kind of discourage budging on because, when you aren't in your correct field, it some of the things can start to feel monotonous. Like it'll feel like you're kind of wasting your time because that's not actually what you want to do. So I highly encourage you go somewhere that has the exactly what it is that you want to major in. And sometimes that can create more of a cost barrier. So just make sure you're smart about it, which leads me to my last and really my most important piece is financial accessibility. You have to understand college is a business. You know what I'm saying? So don't just think of it as, oh, I'm going to my dream school and, this is just what it is. You have to think about the most cost effective route to get to where you're going. Um, we are ultimately going to college so that we can live a better life. You know what I'm saying? This shit, education and wealth are linked. So you don't want to rake up hundreds and thousands of student loan debt that you're going to have to pay back just because you're so bent on like wanting to go to this school or just have to have it this way. Make sure you're thinking about your finances in the long term when you are selecting a college or university. Next, majors. Um, so I did work in college admissions for a little bit of time, and you know, you hear a lot of people say you should always go into what you love to do, and I don't disagree with that. They might say if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. But at the same time, if that what you love doesn't really pay that well, numerically, you might work a lot of days of your life. You might work majority of the days of your life just trying to survive. So for me, picking a major is a balance. You should be looking at number one, what do I love to do? You know what I'm saying? What are my passions? What are some things that I'm interested in that maybe I just haven't been that exposed to? And then I encourage you to look at projected earning potential. So, is this a field that's going to be growing in the next 10 to 20 years? Is it likely going to decline? Will I need a master's degree if I go into this field? All of these things you should be kind of looking at. And I feel like it should be a balance. So, when we are talking about college, funding is available for skilled trades. Some of those can be an electrician, a plumber, cosmetologist, welding, brick mason. I mean, I feel like even if you do get a degree, everybody should have a trade because it just never goes out of style. Like being able to work with your hands is never going to go out of style. You can always find work. Um, Also, an associate's degree. So you can go into culinary arts, IT, radiology tech, dental assistant. I think you can go pre-nursing under the associate route. Plenty of options. And again, that's going to be your community colleges, your 2 years. So a 2 year institution is only going to offer associate degrees, and 4 year institutions are going to offer your bachelor's degrees. And so under your bachelor, you could do education, you could do science, engineering. I mean, when I say the opportunities are going to be endless when you're looking at these bachelor programs, but make sure we're remembering, location, financial accessibility. Does it have exactly what it is that I'm looking to go into? Make sure you're remembering those previous slides. Next, we're going to talk about building experience. So while you're enrolled, there are a couple of ways that you can build your experience. And that can be in the form of internships. You can do work studies, study abroad, and you can also do fellowships as well. I think one thing from my undergraduate experience that I really missed out on was the study abroad. And just as, marching band was my ticket to a HBCU, higher education can be your ticket to another country. You know what I'm saying? So the same as like using all of those networks and different people and opportunities that you have, just maximizing those. If there has been a place that you want to visit, maybe you can do it for a semester through study abroad. You know what I'm saying? So also work study is really being able to have a job on campus, and it's paid through federal funding. So when you did your financial aid, it should have asked you if you wanted to complete work study. So if you're looking for this, you're looking at this and you haven't done your FAFSA yet, make sure that you do check work study just because it'll give you an opportunity to be able to work on campus. This is money that you don't have to pay back. Great opportunity. Also, I suggest investing in your attire. When you're going to class, like it's cool. Yeah, you might wear joggers or you might wear hoodies or something like that. But at some point, you want to consider investing in your attire. Along with your education, there's a certain perception that you're gonna want as well. So you should dress how you want to be perceived. You know, you should have at least one black tie. You know what I'm saying? A black suit. You know, some nice slacks or a blouse or some type of professional attire. And this is going to be important too at different career fairs, networking events, stuff like that. You want to kind of look the part, whatever that is, how you want to be perceived. You want to make sure that you have attire. Next, we're going to talk about balance. So time management and prioritization is going to be a key to going in college. It's just not like high school where you have that structured schedule where people are really, really going to be on you and it's all of that accountability. No, it's going to fall on you. So I suggest getting a planner. It's a great way to write down the things that you have coming up. It's not swimming around in your brain. You're trying to think of what day this is due. Also suggest like digital calendars and cell phone reminders so you can just do the work for you. Use technology to do the work for you and keep track of the things that you have to do. I also suggest using those on-campus resources. Now you're paying for them regardless, whether you go to the tutoring center or any other center, you're paying for it through your tuition. So you might as well get your money's worth. If you're struggling in a class, do not wait into the last week in the semester and try and cram into the writing center or into the tutoring center. No, go ahead, familiarize yourself with where it's located. If you see yourself needing some help, make an appointment, get in there, use those resources. Also, maybe you might want to connect with like the multicultural office, any type of resources that might be relevant to you, LGBTQI plus office, anything that may be relevant to your situation. Know that those resources are likely available on your campus. So make sure you utilize that. The last one is take advantage of the gym. Um, this is one thing, when we talk about self-care, and we talk about mental health, it's going to be really important that you take care of yourself while you are in college. Sometimes things can get, pretty stressful. And so, you want to manage that anxiety, and keep that down. And one of the ways is through your physical fitness. So getting in there, doing a little cardio, maybe lifting a little bit, just to keep yourself regulated, and to keep that stress level down. Okay. And the final thing that I'm going to talk about is graduation. So you want to take a light amount of classes your last semester. You don't want to be like taking 19 hours or you have to get an override and you're taking like 21 hours your last semester. You really want to coast. And even if you are super ready to get out of there, sometimes I tell people like they're in such a rush to get out. And it's just like, what are you rushing to? Have you already lined up, what you're going into after this? Like, are you already lined up with a fellowship right after this and you know exactly what it's going into? Or are you just tired of taking classes and you're ready to get out of there? Like, if you're rushing, make sure you're rushing to something. Then it's fine. And so with that, I say begin applying for jobs at least a month or two before graduation. Now, you could maybe do 3 months, but you don't want the jobs to start calling and then you haven't graduated yet and you're not able to like fulfill the time commitment. That can really complicate things. So you definitely want to kind of line it up to where it's close right when you graduate. You know that you have this lined up, or you know that you have your master's that you're going into. And I'm thinking I might make a separate video as well, just kind of talking about taking that break. in between. So, some people take that break in between like their bachelor's and their master's, and I took that break. So the comment down below if you took a break, or if you're interested in taking a break, or if you see that your field requires a master's, just kind of your thoughts. And then the last thing is just attending those networking events. That's going to be really important, especially if you are a first gen student. Building that network is going to be super important, because there are going to be some things that come up that you're just going to need people who have been through it before, who kind of understand what it's like, in your specific situation, being at that specific school, going into that specific field. So make sure that you do attend those networking events, those career fairs, really everything you can to get to maximize your investment in your education. And so I think that's it for me. Make sure you comment down below. Again, have you already been accepted to some colleges? What are you thinking about majoring in? If you are currently enrolled, if you've graduated, drop your schools down below and let's create some dialogue.